So why I highlight that women as cultural inheritance? Because, well, actually, I've just been back to Hong Kong for like 4 years, 3 to 4 years. And when I come back to Hong Kong, I find that's a very special phenomenon. That's people talk about culture, the word. Okay, just use the word culture. But then I go to different, how people's articles or writing. And I found that people, the understanding of that culture, of the use of that word culture is more humanitarian approach. Or like literature approach. But actually, culture can be a very serious academic subject. And that's one specific academic subject that studies human culture. That's anthropologists. And if someone has interest to jump into anthropologists, they have, like the word culture. You open the dictionary of anthropologists, over 300 or 400 of definition by different anthropologists. But they are just using different ways of expression. For example, very famous French, very famous French anthropologist like Bourdieu. Everyone knows Bourdieu. How he defined culture? He's just used 2 words, but it's too difficult to understand. I only get one. Feel. He used the word feel. F-I-E-L-D. And the word habit. He said culture is habit. Habitude. He's French. Habitude. So what do we mean by habit? He said that just your habit. Culture is your habit. Everything around. Okay. So actually, so I try to go into something that people may get very familiar with. And then people why talking about culture and they talk about inheritance. 傳承啊，香港係嘛？傳承。And all around the world, people talk about cultural heritage. And then what does it mean? And well, actually, it's very difficult to jump into that cultural heritage. There's just two words. But one very key term is women is the main cultural inheritance. Very easily understand because they just give birth. And why? Because women itself is social role as a female, as a woman. The way they eat, cook, dress, speak, these are all cultural things. It's very, very easily found on women than men. Because men can jump into another kind of, like structure. So you can get change. So, but if you are observant enough, you can see that actually, no matter women go everywhere, they will try their best to keep their own clothes, speak their own language, cook their own food. This is the very, very core culture thing. So that's why women actually they are inborn, and they are the core inheritance. So if we are talking about development and cultural inheritance, we have to talk about women. That's the key reason why we have to talk about women. And a lot of NGO or people doing in this field, they just forget that. They just think that probably people use the word gender. Now I know that actually it's very fashionable to use the word gender because quite a number of my ex-colleagues they go study, but they for example they study development, master in development, and they would like to take like I study gender and development, but actually my title is very clear is that well I try to give I want to share from our experience that we are not talking about anything like gender. We want to put something. I just put a quote here. Okay, you're welcome. We'll just start. Okay. So I'm not trying to read out. You try to finish that. But what I want to bring, why I give this quote is that if we're just talking about gender, we still have the idea that we're fighting with the man world. But now what we are doing is not like that. Just putting like under the man's world and then putting the word gender. We try to focus on women. And they, as a person, as an individual, a lot of different roles. So how does it happen? Actually, theory is a little bit difficult to understand, but then application thing will be more easy to understand. So that's why I try to share our project in China, in Guizhou, an ethnic minority region. So yeah, you can stop me whenever you want, because like we just like a small group of people, so we can go into very in depth, or you can stop me whenever you like, everything. Okay. So just a very brief introduction. You see the work. Well, actually, this is Guizhou. This is where we work. Okay. But you may ask why we choose this place, because they have a lot of different ethnic minorities in this region.
Oh.
Yeah. Of course, for example, like Xinjiang, Gansu, Qinghai, Xizang, Sichuan. Well, actually, I've been working in all these Shanxi, and I've been working on here. Oh, anyway, so it would be very interesting here. Of course, Yunnan has many ethnic minorities too, but the development pace is a bit different, okay? So I'm not going into the detail, just trying to give you a very brief idea of that. It's one thing very, very interesting, of course. Our project site in Guizhou has a very common characteristic among China, especially rural China. That's probably very poor. Of course, I mean in general income. Okay, it's been very poor, and the way of the choice to develop is limited. And one thing here in Guizhou is very special comparing to other provinces is that you see that the mountain areas 97.5%, which implying that what? The farmland is very scarce, right? It's very interesting. That's why it's so difficult for us to design the project thing, because it's not like other provinces. You cannot just, like grow income crops, because they do not have enough farmland. So it's very complicated. I'm not going into that because it's a lot. It will be too long. It's very, very interesting, and such a contrast that, yeah, Guizhou is very poor. Actually, now I think it's the third poorest in China among all provinces in China. So, but it's a lot of cultural resources, natural or not, like other different ethnic culture thing. A lot tangible, intangible cultural heritage and cultural resources we can use to develop. Okay. Yeah. So see. Oh, sorry. I want to go back. I just want to give you some. Well, I try to give you more photos. Okay. So actually, it's very beautiful. See the landscape? It's very, very beautiful. But then, which implies that you don't have much farmland, so you have to what we are now doing is you have to make use of what you have to develop. You cannot create things. For example, like 3 years ago when we talked to the government officials in Guiyang, they told us, you know what? They say, wow, now Guangdong's the industrial development in Guangdong is like declining. So it's going to do. They want to move that declining industry to Guizhou. Oh. So just imagine how can it be possible? Like different factories could go into this landscape. What a waste.
Hi. What do you mean by natural disaster? You mean that's the earthquake or?
No, landslide.
Oh, landslide.
Yeah.
And there is one spelling in the Guizhou.
Guizhou, yeah. So okay, so it's this, yeah, still the same. Just want to try to show you some how some idea that how Guizhou looks.
The picture on the bottom are the house?
The house.
Is it in the?
It's in some of the village now, but not in our project sites. Because actually the picture I've been go through whole Guizhou province, okay? Because we have different meetings, and these photos from different part of Guizhou. I try to give you an idea. But then I will go in depth the whole practice, just focus on our project site, how the projects work. Okay. For example, like this kind of huts, wooden huts. Well, I just told you that the old house renovation project, just based on this kind of houses. There's still a lot of this kind of houses. It's just normally fine, but you're just very, maybe it's not in very good condition. But actually, as we see the pictures, it's very beautiful. Actually, it's very attractive to us.
Yeah, good for tourism.
Yeah, they have different ethnic minorities. So everything is so beautiful. I don't have enough time to show you, but actually their jewelries and clothes and everything and festive culture and everything is so attractive. And even music. I brought a group of European to join a talk. Well, actually, not just a talk, kind of world forum.
So can you tell me, like, what are the 4 or 5 main ethnic minorities, like these ones?
This one, for example, like Miao. Miao. And a name, actually, a name of one of the ethnic minority. So they have different names. For example, like Puyi is one of the ethnic minority of, for example, like Sui.
So ethnic minorities are people who are not from that region. So where have these people or their descendants?
No, the idea of the term ethnic minorities in China is comparing to our Han people. For example, 80 or 90% of the population in China are Han people.
Okay.
One of the ethnic, okay? And then for the others, a white ethnic minority, it's just very small population. For example, the Tibetan.
Okay.
Yeah, and or for example, the Miao or different Sui.
So
that's where we
Miaos
come.
are originally from which place?
I do not go into that Miao where they from, but most of the ethnic minorities, for example, they would just stay in where this like province, for example, in Yunnan or even in Guizhou, they just stay there. So that's why we call them local people.
Yeah.
Tribe. Tribe in other words, the same same understanding, but the word tribe is more, the population is even smaller. Now, okay. This is Miao, little Miao. But that's different because the old people and young people, they dress differently, okay? So just try to have a very brief idea how you understand Guizhou. Now this is our project site, our village, Suili. So in Chinese, actually, this word is water. This word. So they call themselves Sui people. So they have their own culture. The festive, the language, and the habit, and for example, the food and the house is so different. Even this Sui and other Miao or whatever, they have slightly different. If we, you know that. Okay, do some research. So this is where we work. Okay. Actually, it's very beautiful. I think it during August, just what. So what we do is cultural heritage conservation based development approach. So whatever we do, we have to think about cultural heritage conservation. And of course, you can see that we mainly work with women and children first. If I just in the very beginning, why we work with women? Because women are the main cultural inheritor, so that's why we work with them. So if you have to understand their culture, you have to live with this group of women. And actually, this village, they just like quite similar to other village all around China. Men, in their good age, they just rush to cities. Yes, because it's very difficult for them to develop in the village. Okay, no way of getting cash. So they are forced to go into cities. So normally people, what kind of people are left behind? Children, and some a woman. For example, you can see that she's a bit older than in her mid-age, right? Like more than 30 or around 40. Some young girl, like in their very early 20s, they would just leave to the cities the same. Okay, so you can see that actually what kind of people they are living in the village. So and then no one to care about that. They have no way to develop. So what's going to do, right? So this is the background we receive, and we have to go over different challenges and start to design different project or project activity which can help them to alleviate the poverty a bit, and at the same time we want to keep their culture. We don't want to impose things, say, okay, just you need to have more income, okay, grow this, do this. We don't do that. So this is our way, our approach. So that's four very important themes that I want to focus tonight, that go in our experiences. Okay, and we found out that actually women become the active player, and we see women as a whole person at all, not just seeing, because people just like when we're talking about development, we talk about poverty alleviation, we just think of the word, you are very poor, right? Poor. And then what we have to do is, okay, poor, which implies that you don't have that much money, right? Don't have much income or whatever. Then very direct thing is, okay, we do something to bring you money. But well, it's not as direct and easy as that, because development is a very comprehensive thing. Even the Millennium Goal, just passed, and they have the whole meeting. They have to design new goals for development. The whole world development is just not money, and even the environment, the culture, and everything, and human being as a whole and everything. So it's we have to think of a very comprehensive thing, rather just by economic thing. And one thing is ethic of work. This is, I think, is very interesting, but I still cannot find a very good result or a very clear thing that we have to answer. But these 4 points actually trigger me even, to think about the urban development. We always have the myth that, it just think that, it's so unethical not to work. Just like, even women, we have to work, right? So actually, there's 4 very important theme that is generated from our experience, which I find that is not just applicable in rural development, but it also applicable to urban development problems, especially concern women issue. Okay, so what do we talk about active player actually? Because I understand people not work in the development field, but usually people like to use the word jargon. For example, we are bottom-up approach. We all seems understand what is bottom-up approach. So when you go to somewhere, so I'm not trying to, for example, like here, I try not to control you guys. So I'm being the facilitator. I'm saying, hey, what do you think about these topics and whatever? But actually, it's not real bottom-up. Bottom-up means if in a development anthropology approach, that means actually we have to see from their own culture. For example, it's very interesting. I got some pictures, okay? I show you and I will tell you how we work in project and comparing to others. For example, okay, I'll try to finish this. Because women in different cultural contexts, they have different organizational behavior. They have their own way of dealing with each other. They have their role, very, very important role in dealing with different, even social, family, or everything. So we are not as simple as that. Bottom up means, hey, what do you want? Hey, what do you need? It's just not like that, because anthropology won't ask this kind of question. We stay with them, we live with them, like more than at least six months. Just stay with them, and we observe how their life. For example, this one. This is they dress. These are the Sui women, 水族. Okay, just remembering how they dress. Okay, this is a very special festival. This festival occasion is called Mao Ji. Okay, I don't know how to translate it. Try to just yeah, that's just a word. And what do they do? Well, this special festival is for them to celebrate what to show their love. So what they do during this festival, first of all, they have 2 days, sometimes 2 or 3 days, depends on how many resources or how large the group of relatives come to their villages. First of all, they were they were just eating and drinking for whole day, and then the second day they will go to a slope, so halfway of slope, and they just sitting here or just stand. They sink. They sink. So if some man, you see some man's behind, right, and someone is here, and if, for example, if they feel well, I like or fond of this girl, and they will sink back. So it's very interesting. One of my colleagues, he's doing his PhD research on this special festival. It's very interesting. Yes, because long time ago, people are going
But
to.
these men are coming from other villages, right? Not from their.
Yes, not their village, but maybe some from their own, or some from just the village next village, but share the same ethnic culture.
And this festival has been a long time of history.
Yes, of course. So what I don't like is people, because we have people find it very difficult to understand this kind of festival. So we give them a name, Chinese or Sui Valentine's Day, but definitely not that kind of idea. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's very interesting. So you may say, what the hell is it going on with your project thing? But you will see, because we understand that actually from this special festival, women serve a very special role. She not connects only people in the village, but people in the same clan or some ethnic group in a huge area. So it can be very special. So for example, this kind of connection help us to develop not our project here in this village, but the mentality going to different villages. We are not doing things just going a long way because we just have a few people. We don't have that much resources, but we know who can help us and who can bring that idea to their people. So our rationale is we should become their people first, and then let them spread others for ourselves. So women they have very special role in this, and you cannot find men doing that, right? So that's why I still have So that's why women is the main cultural inheritance. We have to focus on that. And this is another special festival. Okay, you see that it's very special. You may find out that there's a phenomenon that we may see that people may say that basically in ethnic minority or tribe areas, women has a lower status. We always believe that, right? But if you are observant enough, during very special festival, we call it festive culture, women can be very dominant role. So this is how anthropologists find a way to work. We don't just easily say, hey, okay, so work with men, or we not intentionally go to women because we just know that they have different roles. Okay, this is a very special occasion, and it's the same in most of the rural villages now in China. We talk about left behind children, right? But there's one very special person here. We make up a name, okay? Because don't use the name. I can't speak their language, so I don't know how to say that. We call it community mama. because they have a very special cooperative system within their own community. For example, it's just very casually we'll find in different villages when other parents, they just rush to the cities, they just left the kid there and no one to take care of it. And even the grandparents, they just too difficult to take care of the kids. So they automatically, we call it automatically, the left behind women, they would take care of other children because they share the same culture. They're just in the same community, not even in the same village. I told you, there are some kids from other villages.
Does she take some salary for this or?
No. They would just do it because why? Sometimes they would just, for example, give. Actually, this activity we call children's group. Okay, we started at the very beginning of our project. So why we start this? Because we find out that left behind children is a problem, very serious problem now in rural China. But I see different projects. I don't think there's any good way to solve this problem. Okay, so why I start with this? Because we observed one thing. They have very special cooperative system, but they work very obviously not here in normal life, daily life. They work when they are doing agricultural work. For example, we belong to different household, right? We have our own field, but probably okay, my husband left me. He rushed to the city, and me myself have to to grow for the whole field. It's such a difficult work for me, and I don't have enough time and manpower. So what I'm going to do? I don't have money to hire people to help me. That's all the reality. So how does Sui group develop their own work? Okay, so for example, I will invite you guys to help me. I offer you with lunch. Okay, so now it's 5 people instead of 1 people to finish the whole work, and then it goes to your part, right? And you, of course, I will go to help you to just like kind of paying back, so they developed this kind of habit and system, and this worked very long time ago. And why I say that's what the Maojie is special is that kind of cooperative system have been shown into that festival. Very complicated. So that's why I think I stayed there half years, stay with them. And I find it, wow, well, actually it's good. I'm not going to start any association, any group of things, because they themselves have that kind of cooperative system. So that's why I try to group them together and saying that, okay, now people left, we have a lot of left behind children. What can we do? Okay? Can you do something just like how you guys work in your field?
Sorry, these children, they don't go to school?
They have to go to school, but just weekdays. But they still have a lot of time in the villages. Yes, so students go to school.
Because I think in China, education till high school is compulsory now.
Yes, it's not left behind children. The problem of left behind children is not about education thing. That's about how after school actually they have been no parents to take care of them.
I know, because I
everything.
go to Shenzhen quite a lot, and the people the ladies who do the massage or my manicure, they tell me that they have come and they live a little bit far away from Shenzhen, but they have left their homes and children back with their grandparents.
Well, the other situation in China is, which is very difficult for me to understand. Really, because I've been living to China for more than 16 years.
16?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really. And I met too much people, for example, in Shanghai, and they told me that they got married once upon a time, and he's working in Shanghai, and his wife working in another city of China,
Yes.
and their children is in another city of China, and their parents are looking for the kids.
Same as Shenzhen. Most of the ladies, they said they have children, and their husbands are also staying near Shenzhen, but their children are in the grandparents' home.
Yes.
because they work very long hours.
Of course, of course. So that's why people start to have attention on left behind children. And even in Guizhou, it's a very shocking news this year that some left behind children, they get suicide, they kill themselves. And they left letters to telling their parents that, I know, we do nothing help, and we cannot change anything. So that's why I always think of killing myself will be the, how to solve the problem. Actually, so that's why the group started, because we take example from that cooperative thing to the taking children system thing. So that's
you were saying in that festival we can see that cooperative thing. What happens in the festival?
Oh, that's very academic, very difficult. And it is a PhD thesis. It's very complicated. But I just by saying very simple. Because the festival, it goes like that. For example, though this village is we try to call it the first village, okay? But then they have the second village and the third village. For these, the first day they have to. I just say that they have to come to the village, to enjoy, right? Eat, drink. But there's a system, okay? Who become the first one is very important. That's a historical thing. And our village is always historically being the first one. What does it imply? It means that in their culture thing, if you are the big brother, you are the one who start, you are big brother, which means that you have something to share and you have the responsibility to share. So that's why you become the first one. You become the big brother. So you have enough food, for example, meat, wine, to invite your brothers' villages to come to enjoy. So underneath this, so that's why this very anthropology thing. The beneath there, under this kind of representation or rolling thing, is the idea of help, cooperation, responsibility, sharing, taking care, and everything this in the villages. So that's why I say that we don't create organization, because the villages, the culture themselves,
they help each other and
yes.
So
why we need
food, and they have enough food for the visitors and so.
Yes. So sometimes when we're talking about development, we have certain kind of fantasy. When we're talking about, we have fantasy saying that you are poor. So which imply we always think poor, no money, so that you are incapable. You don't know how to do. So that's why we have to help you this. Capacity building. I helped you to organize. Hey, come on, it's just fantasies, right? So that's why we have to go back to that cultural context. They have everything. I always tell my friends or some of the students, just imagine. Think about that. They live 1,000 years ago, generation by generation. If they are that stupid, if they are that incapable, how can they live here now? Right? As simple as that. So each culture have their survival skills. So when we're talking about multicultural thing, that's just really multicultural thing. We're not to impose things on them. We try to discover. But of course, that's very typical, because you should have overcome a very professional training of things to discover all this. That's why we need a lot of people to help, professor, and we have to stay there and everything. So yeah, this is how they work, right? Just exactly. Actually, they cannot finish the whole work by themselves, even just one field. So they need a lot of people coming here to help them. They just take turns. So what I'm just saying that is, you see that we have developed different projects from this system. Taking care of the children, taking care of the, like the community, and even from, of course, this agriculture thing, we start another thing, but it's agricultural culture thing. I don't want to focus on that. It's far more complicated than that. So women just like that. You see how happy they are. They are just easy to have different role. Why we have to impose? For example, people, they just, they have their embroidery. They know how to make clothes. They make their own clothes, know how to dye the clothes and everything. They have their own living style. But the challenges for development people or development practitioner is not to think about how to help them to get money. The most challenge, what I think after more than 10 years of work, is we don't know how they live. if we know how they live and actually they have enough resources to develop or to bring them money. This is what actually we are doing after 3 years of basic and very fundamental work. Okay. So that's why I say that the first point is actually we have to really focus on the real bottom up, to let the women tell us what they do, not just by asking a question, what do you need, what do you want? It's always have no good results according to my evaluation or my experience. And secondly is women as a person, individual. In doing poverty alleviation or even development field, I don't know how people see that, but because I jumped into that field for too long, we see women as just like, yeah, now it's very fashionable to know that women are the most marginalized and they are just like very poor group. So we see them as this, appear as this kind of figure. But can we see that actually they're just a... And then when we're talking about poverty alleviation or development, what we think is try to bring them cash or income so that they can have ability, they can not ability, just have money to get change their situation. Okay, it's just very narrow understanding of women. Women, the role of women is just not like that. Basically, women are mother, wife, okay, family, clan, professional, community, and self-individual. So sometimes we jump into another trap is that, especially doing development or poverty alleviation thing, we just neglect other role of women, just focus on maybe professional. Okay? Because we want to give them job, right? They can work so that they can make money, so that they can get rid of that poverty situation. This is too narrow understand of women. Because, well, actually the points are just connecting each other. The role of as a mother, as a wife, family, community, and her as self, as a self-fulfilling individual, actually all this social contribution is larger than just economic income. A lot of research saying that even in urban development history, even in Mexico or even whatever, women, yes, it seems that, yeah, wow, the country has to develop. So women have to get a job and then go out of your home, go to earn money. But then, okay, what you neglect is you have no time to take care of family, okay? And then it seems that, okay, because I have to work, so I don't have time to take care of my kids. So that's why I work to earn money to pay someone to take care of my kids. This is how my sister worked. Of course, me too. But I try to think of somewhere to give this away or this kind of habit. But it's so, well, I just go back to one thing, very fundamental thing is development is not about economic development only. It's an all-round social thing. So just imagine, just a festival, the connection of women. They connect the community, connect different family, connect the whole, right, the whole ethnic group. All these contribution is bigger and cannot be, like measured into an indicator of money or income. And research, a lot of research showing this. So I think this is big gap for development practitioner. We think that poor women to get rid of the situation is by push up their income generation. It's not. But I tell you, I spent more than 10 years working in China, in different part of China, the most poorest part in China. Over 90% of NGO do it in this way. Okay? But I just share that after like 8 years, I do a lot of evaluation, inviting different scholars, okay, anthropologists, socialists, and we find out that actually we do really not, we bring destruction more than construction to the communities by thinking in this way. If we just think that making money is the most important thing. Okay, so that's why what what that's trigger our project is we have to, to encourage a woman's different role as a whole.
Yes.
But then what we do, our mentality is so different. We try to increase, try to increase some money indicator in different roles. We not focus on this. We don't provide women with a job. We try to make money from their different role. So for example, because we now see that it's as easy as a woman to cook meal, to prepare everything for their children, for their family, and it's easy for them just to sing, and they know every piece of land in their community very well. So what do we develop? It's very obviously we have some experience group or some trip. Okay, so how do we bring them income? So for example, you said we have different group of people coming here. Okay, we have students from Tsinghua University. We have different group from Hong Kong and even Shanghai people. They'll go there. For example, like 3 days of trip. They stay in the village. So we invite the women to help to cook. That's the most delicious, because they know how to cook the most authentic food, right? We don't know. And just imagine, we go there, I'm not expecting people from Hong Kong, from Beijing, from Shanghai to Guizhou just to eat McDonald's or whatever, right? Just 3 days. Of course, you want to try something very authentic. And the women, they can do the best thing. Okay? So, and see that actually this is a very special cave in the village. The women and the children, we try to ask them, okay, is there any way, we're not use the word interesting, because the definition of interesting is very different, okay? So we will ask the question like, okay, normally when you are in your childhood, where do you go for playing? And they will say, yeah, we go there, upstairs, up in the hill, there's a cave, very adventurous sort of thing. And I would say that, okay, mark it down. Bring us the second day. And then they take us, and then they know how to tell the story, and they sync everything. So among these 3 days, well, the money will go directly to the women. We try to make project in this way. So they cook. For example, how do we calculate? It's a very small and very detailed thing. We try to ask them, okay, well, how's the price, normal price, if you go to the county for like casually work or construction work. For example, 1 day like 100 renminbi, right? So we just say, okay, then well, we just offer you quite normal the same price. And they are very happy of that, because the first night, this is the first trip, and then we have a very evaluation group. And the women say that they just can't imagine why they can, by just doing help to cook a dinner and make that money. So this is why the reason I say that we try, I want to go back. Yes. In different role, try to add up so-called economic value thing. So we have a limit. We not just to focus on making money, but we understand that there must be some way to do this.
I want to tell you something in relation. Even in New Zealand now, it's like, because I grew up over there, in New Zealand also, like when you have your child, okay, be it first or second, okay, the government helps the lady, and more if she is a single mom, and you are not allowed to work for 3 years. The government gives you money and the welfare to the child, because according to them also, working is important for a woman, but your role changes, so you don't have to go to the office. After the childbirth, your role is more as a mother. So you sit at home and we will give you the money. Even New Zealand, like, Australia also, they give a lot of, support to the mothers. They say, and actually it is, if you leave your child and go to work, and if the neighbor complains or if the children cry or anything happens, then if the child gets injured, you will be in jail. It's unlawful for you to leave the child alone. The government says we will give you money, but for some time, for 5 years, You have to look after your baby. That role is more important.
Well, of course, law is very important. So that's why we found out that political thing. So we just talk about gender thing. You know, it still have still a huge gap with gender inequality. But if we see women's need as it's a very specific thing, that the law can be very different. So like the social service, which we are not coming into that. Okay, so this is what we are doing. Okay, and for example, this. You see that actually the woman is taking care of the child, but what is she doing? Actually, she's steaming a very special tea leaf. So we observe, we always observing things, and we try to think about, okay, what we can help them to make some money. This is a very special tea, sweet tea. Natural flavor of sweet. Actually, we now help them to develop different kind. We don't impose project on them. Okay, we try to get whatever they are doing in routine and create value. To add value, especially economic value. But of course, we try to enhance its social value too. So we try to help them to develop this into tea bags and to sell. So you just imagine, sometimes they just can't imagine this can sell, because in their routine they just think that, yeah, we need this is good for our health. Okay, we take enough and then put some steam it and then dried it, and then we just enjoyed it. They cannot imagine we can do something to this and then to make it sellable to the market, and so that they can gain. And that's true. And this is what we're doing just like 2 years. The sweet tea project. Actually, in normal time, they usually like during March or April, all women will just rush to the mountain to take these tea leaves. All natural. Wow, no one growed it. So it's very good, healthy. We bring all this tea to Baptist University biological department to do whatever test. It is food safety test or whatever. It's very healthy. So actually, we have to. This is a whole logic thing. We don't want to impose anything on them. We believe that what God believe, okay, what have given to them is already enough. It's always we are not professional enough to discover what they have. So this kind of work, we call it really innovative. So this is very different. So it's just like, like women with thinking that just like after 2 years, when we have an evaluation meeting every year, and they're just saying that they're saying that it's very difficult for them to imagine their routine. Just keep their routine. I always say that just keep your routine life, okay? You don't have to change anything for any people, and we can do something and try to, like improve your work, your life, and to get some money. We are not just aimed at looking at the money income indicator. So that's why this is very interesting. And you see that when they doing in the field, they just take care of the baby. They're just sitting there. It's always just like that. It's as normal as that. So when the first time why you put your baby here? She said, yeah, always like that. They were just like, okay, that's fine. At least I can have my eye on the baby at least. It's just work like that. So what I just want to go back is, it's just not in rural, even in urban, because now we all in cities, women in cities, we all believing that we have to go to work. We have to work. We have to go to work. So we don't have much room for imagination, how we can make money, not just go to a full-time work. So or different freelance, or well, actually we have a lot of imagination if we just get out of that belief. Of course, this also need several policy to support. Okay,
I'll say this. I have been talking to most of my friends are women, and we always talk about as mothers, what problems we have. And a lot of people, like for my sister, I'll tell you, she is the head of a very famous magazine. She's head of Asia. and that magazine is published from the UK. So in the beginning she had a job, but then one day she came home and then she saw the helper had called other helpers having a party, and then after that my sister said, no, I will not work full time. But the thing is that, so she's in a good job, but works mostly from home. Okay, sometimes she goes to the office, but she always tells my brother-in-law, if I would have been going there regularly, I would have been, I don't know, in much better position. So women have this insecurity that if you start freelancing work, you don't have a guarantee you will get the work today, you won't get it tomorrow.
So that's why I say this is kind of policy thing.
At least if you are in a job, you know that it is steady,
Of course.
Yeah, so
This is a whole society thing, but of course the government is always 1,000 years slower than the society developed. They cannot imagine, okay, and it's a lot of political things. So actually, if we see really the core is to the better society development. People have different choices. And we have, why not, right? If you have law to protecting this, right? Why not? I don't see working from home and in office any differences, actually. Okay, so this again, as to go back to is, I think we have to jump out of that myth, always seeing women only in a professional way, image. But I think actually, just like her other roles is more valuable than anything else, actually. Okay, this I find it very interesting, ethical work. I always say that people, well, I just mentioned about the name David Graeber. I mean, when I read his book, he has also touched the point, the idea of work. And I'm so happy, because when I write my thesis, what I find, one of my conclusion actually is that why we always think that we have to work, and especially get a job? Because our thought is like that. We have to work so to get money for our living, right? This seems to be our logic, and it's just like common sense. Common sense. But anthropologists, as one habit, is to always challenge our so-called common sense. When does it come from? When is this idea coming from? We start asking the simple questions. And I find out from our project, when I write my thesis, I just find out very interesting. Our women, our target people, never go to work, but they earn money. So I start to reflect that, do we really have to work to find money? And then we give up our different role, and then to find a full-time job, and then to find money support our family. This is my question, of course, in my thesis. And I find it very interesting, because just like the previous point, women in professional way. Actually, it's just like the underneath idea is go out and get a job, go out and get a job, and then make your money, just like that. But actually, I think one thing is very important is, first of all, whether this one is valid or not. Secondly, actually, women are overworked. Women are really overworked. I try to, because when the first 6 months when I staying with the women, I try to know a lot about their routine, and I get a group of women. Actually, I have several observations, but I still have to make some figures. Try to draw them timetable. I just found out that if we talking about work, they work more than 8 hours. They really have a lot of work. The idea is whether this work are paid or unpaid. I got a very interesting table, but I'm sorry at the back. But it's just in Chinese, okay? So I try to, for the people, well, sorry, only 2 people know Chinese. Well, actually, this is very interesting. It's a very simple and very interesting graph, but actually just a table, just plotting approximately. Okay, the first this one is women in economic activity, the time in economic activity. Okay, this is paid, this is unpaid. So you see that actually they have a lot of time participate a lot of time in economic activities, but usually unpaid. Okay? And let's see the men. Okay? They have, just imagine, they have this part of work, paying this part of time, and this is men and women. You can see that comparing to the men here. They participate the time here in economic activity, paid, and this is unpaid. So it's nothing like job thing. It's what we are talking about, equality thing. So actually, women work a lot, but just unpaid. So do you not understand why I go back to the previous point that I try to add up the economic value in their different role? Because they are unpaid. It's a lot of different jokes on internet that, well, the most difficult job is being a housewife. And it's a joking that the man saying that, well, actually, I cannot pay my wife to be a full-time housewife. And that's true. Women work a lot, just unpaid. So that's a different kind of myth. Work, whether you have to work, what do we understand as work? Just like full-time work, stay in the office, or whatever. Or actually, just like they have different role, they have, even as far as they did contribute, they should have paid, right? So this is why all adding together back into our project implementation is that we try to just add up the unpaid part in women's work. For example, they cook for the family. Well, are you paid for that? No, I definitely believe that. Okay, right? So I'm going to tell the woman that, okay, if you pay for someone out of your family, come here to enjoy their life or whatever, you have to be paid just by being cook for them, right? Or even lead them, being their guard to the community, whatever. So that's why every project activity or every project design is really a whole set of comprehensive assessment, not just like single thing. Okay, we want to do gender thing. There's nothing like gender thing. Okay. So I go back to show you some. Yeah, go back with these pictures. For example, okay, they do the embroidery, right? See that and everything. This is the picture showing that they're taking the sweet tea. Okay, so all these actually can enhance their income. Actually, adding up, we call it. I don't like the word. Just add up the economic value a bit. And to our statistic, for example, because we have different very small projects, but adding up, each woman earn cash income more than 4,000 in renminbi a year. It's a lot. It's a lot. Of course. For we have a why we say that is a lot. Just take a man going to the cities, for example. If actually you're going to the city, you have to live, you have to eat, right? So we just take the cash they save at the end of a year. Normally, if you can save up to 10,000 renminbi is a big number. So for women staying in the village, seems like doing nothing special, right? Save nearly half, 50%, right? Is pretty much.
It's a good amount.
Of course, good amount, very good amount. And that is it can become very complicated with add up with scholarship thing. It will be very complicated. So but I think that this is very good practice and a realistic one, and because we keep tracking the figure and tracking the way they participate, and the indicator I said I try to track is very different from other indicators. The indicator I track is the number of intangible skill they have saved. It's very interesting, right? I try to explain a bit of it because we are culture heritage conservation based development approach. So for me, of course, we have to keep as multicultural as it is. Intangible thing we understand as, first of all, skill. The more skill you possess, the more ability of choices you can make. This is an assumption, or we believe, okay, just a belief, okay. So of course, but for example, like embroidery and doing the cloth. Now, actually, younger generation, they incline to not learning anything. They don't want to learn this because they find out this useless. They can do nothing. Okay, so most of the early 20s young ladies, they don't know how to do this. And then which implying that what? This kind of intangible cultural heritage will get lost. Right? So that's why what we're going to do, we don't teach the younger lady, okay? We just want them to keep doing with what they know. And then we try to, if they've got to, this kind of project we have not developed very good, but we try to partner with someone else this year. We want to do this because it's still a bit difficult. This looks, of course, ugly, but in our very trendy sense, not beautiful. But we need designer, some product designer or different of designer to help to keep their skills, and we don't want to change anything in their embroidery, okay? Because there's story inside. Whatever they make, they have different stories. They have the butterfly or even the flower, they have different story. It all goes back to their believing system. It's very interesting. Everything just keep connecting each other. So what was doing now here is when the younger ladies, they have to go back to the village during New Year, right? And they see why, like the 30 or 40s women, they keep doing the embroidery. And they start to learn why. Because this woman tell them, yeah, because we try to, just practice, reinforce our skills. Because people will ask them to do this and they can sell them. And the younger women start to think that, well, because they don't want to stay in the cities all the way. It's not a long way to go. Their problem is they find no development opportunity in their own village. So they're finding development opportunity. So we try to do what we can do and show them that it may be a way out, just a matter of time, okay? And if you want to make it to sell in the market, you need a lot of help. Just not like this. It's a lot to do, right? But it's still opportunity. And this is actually this is the project we are now doing. This is an old house. This is a very typical Sui building. So we try to renovate it, and we are now doing different ideas. Okay, the one part for the women workshop, yeah, which we can help them to develop a lot, making use of their resources and develop into some into different sellable products. So this is a huge challenge. Not just the tea, and even the rice and everything. Okay, the clothes, the embroidery, and a lot to go. So this is very interesting. And this group, you see that a lot more than that. Well, actually, we keep doing this kind of group of children, but not just keep taking care of our own village, and other village too. And kids from other villages starting to know our village. I find it very interesting because our staff is social work. He's a social worker, and actually we like to play with kids and know how to communicate with kids very well. I don't know why, but then kids now start to go to our village, and then just the group of people doing homework together, and then we have some funding to arrange monthly activity. For example, we may by adding the nutrition thing and everything, more comprehensively, sort of that. And we have we try to arrange not just monthly gathering, but then we also arrange a different tutorial session, especially during summer and winter holiday, when it's a long time you're not going to school and no one to take care with. And actually, you can observe if your long time parents not around, you will just going everywhere and doing some bad things. It's just like kids, like that. But we try to do it group together, and we do something help to older people in the community. Yeah, to visit them or even help them to wash things or whatever. This is just like casually they can do, and we just want to think to give the children a very normal idea. This is how we do actually. We don't have to really teach teachers in school you have to do this, do what. No, it's casually just like a whole community do whatever we can do. It's always just like that. So this is the last point and very easy. Just I think it's to be wrapped up with the previous three points that I think. A fair and effectiveness principle for women participation is the most common thing. Just like the example you raised, for example, politically, right? Law, how can this secure more about women's rights to participate? And we all need, we cannot just depend on one group of people or one organization. We need the government, and a lot of people to get involved and think about it, and even the law and everything. And actually, so this has come up with that, and so you can see that actually all our work, all our project activities comes like this. This is our stuff. No women just like here. Before, like 10 years ago, when I do different kind of focus group in Northwest China. No women can sit like that. This will be a group of men. It's power, right? Women are low status. But now, it's not. In our project sites, women are always like this. And you can see men here. So actually, I'm not trying to say that I want to make the difference between men and women. But actually, we have to go back to that individual as a whole, different role. And actually, if my belief in development is that there's nothing like extreme. It's always like balancing, keeping everything to be concerned. Not saying that protecting culture and for economic development is extreme. It's not. Protecting the environment and the economic development is another extreme. No, we say that. So that's why we have to think about what we believe, or that kind of sort of common sense. Really, that makes sense, or anything else. This is a development anthropologist approach. So it becoming the end. This is the old house. It's pretty huge, right? We have two blocks. This block will be for women, this block for children. Yeah, so a huge area for us to develop things. So they themselves just own that project. They don't pay. Okay, we want to pay them, of course, calculation by that. But they will just give me a red packet, it will be good. Okay, this is our own house, whatever. But no, when they have equal opportunity to participate, they're so willing to do that. So, thank you.